Hello, I'm Domini Anne. I've been working with vibration plates since like 2016. The way that started was I previously was primarily a gyrotonic instructor. I was a master trainer at that time. And because of my own work with breath work as well as the gyrotonic method, I started working with people with spinal cord injuries. So I was seeing people in wheelchairs who couldn't move their limbs and helping them find movement in their bodies, keeping their bodies fluid. As it turns out, the president of the North American arm of the Galileo company, which is the medical grade plate, it's the top of the line vibration plate model. She lived in Carmel. And so she reached out and showed me the technology. And I was sold. I wound up buying. I mean, at this point, I have 9 of their devices. And I've created teacher training programs for movement instructors on the Galileo specifically. So I just want to give you that background because what we're looking at here, a question I get asked a lot is there anything cheaper than a Galileo that's still good? The Galileos that I work on, they run between $7,000 and $8,000. So it's no small investment for your studio or your body. Now, is it worth it? 100%. They're cheaper than one injury, and they're going to keep you mobile and strong, and they're going to give you bone density and muscle contractions and all kinds of benefits that the lower end plates don't do. However, beyond that, vibration is good for the human body. And there's a lot of people who love plates that aren't the Galileo, and they're still seeing benefits. So that's what I want to work with you here today on and use my range of understanding from the Galileo machines to help you compare and contrast other low-end models. And you can see here, I have quite the fleet. So I'm just going to go through this little fleet now. I'm going to move you back a little bit so maybe you can see them all. And I'll be sending this whole recording once it's edited out to my mailing list on Sunday. So if you're not on that, get on that, and then you can have access to this forever. So running through the brands. This is an old LifePro that I got in 2020. I spent about $300 on it. I don't think it's the Rumblix. I don't really remember what model it was, but it's a LifePro. And this is a brand that previously I was like, you know what? This will do. They're affordable. You get the benefits of vibration. It's good enough for someone to stand in their kitchen at home. Now, this is a LifePro 4D Rumblix. So this is the top of the line LifePro. It does some things a little differently, and I'm going to talk to you about that as we go. This is a machine that one of my friends found in an estate sale, and I bought it off of her for $60. I have no idea what brand it is, but I like it. It's simple, and it's a good example of how these things work. This is one of my Galileos. So this is the Cadillac of all the models, and I'll be using it to compare and contrast different elements of the other machines. This is a VT vibration plate, and I'll get more into that later. I'm pretty stoked on this model. And then here we have another model that I don't know what it is. It seems like it functions a little bit like a LifePro, and the remote I have for that also works on this one. So it probably is a LifePro, but it's a way older model, and a client gave it to me because he didn't like it. And I got on it, and I totally agree with him. So we're going to talk about that too. I'm just going to run back into the comments and check and see if anyone has like feedback or questions. Yes. Zaza Bebe, I'm not sure if I'm reading your name right. Love watching your movements, lots of gyro experience, and love to hear your recommendations for a lower cost plate. I gotcha. And then Lily Swan, you worked with me in March from the Galileo. Oh, hi. Hi, yes, it's good to have you here. Yay. Okay, and then hi, Thomas, and hi, Yasmin. Okay, we've got a little more here. Yoga student here. I've been intrigued by gyrotonic Galileo and all things related to vibration, pulsation, undulation. Yeah, I mean, really, we are talking about the language of movement as being a language for our nervous system. And everything you named there is the language itself. You don't even have to understand the words to know how that works. It's very much a felt sensation. The only thing you can do is just stand on it. He'll ask Sir John, what plate do you have? Or are you asking if there's more things you can do than just stand on it? Because we can cover that too. It's very difficult for you. Yeah, okay. So that's something I'm definitely going to get into. And for your shoulders. All right, we'll talk about that. So The first thing that we want to understand about vibration plates is that there are basically two different ways in which a plate is going to deliver the experience of vibration to your body. There's vertical vibration that goes up and down. So the most common brand that you would know that has vertical vibration is the power plate. I want you all to stand up with me for a second and just try something here. And I just want you to stand and then set your heels on the ground. And do you feel that force moving through you? So this is the ground force, the G forces that are acting on your body when you're going up and down. And if you're doing that with both heels, do you feel how that kind of like creates a jarring sensation in your body and it goes up to your head? It's not awesome. Like as human beings, we don't move by hopping. This is the experience that the vertical vibration is going to deliver to you. Yes, it will give you health benefits, but the experience for your vestibular system, and I think for your overall just like soft body, isn't that awesome. I don't like it. Some people do. Fine. If you're using a massage gun, for example, it's delivering that kind of vibration into your body. And that's fine in smaller doses. I mean, when I took my son to get his vaccinations, the pediatrician put a little vibrating bee on his arm right above where she put the needle because vibration also can reduce pain. And that was another example of a linear vibration. Now, the way humans move is by walking. So that is a bilateral stimulation, right? We're moving right and left. And this is the other type of plate. It's called a pivotal oscillation plate, and it's going like this. So I'm just going to take us down to my favorite little estate sale model here, and I'm going to show you how that looks. And so I'm going to actually slide this down even more so you can get a close-up view and move you like really closely in. So you see how it's going side to side. And this is its slowest frequency. I'm going to stand on it so you can see what's happening to my legs, right? One side's going up, one side's going down. You can see all this jiggling going on with my flesh. This machine is delivering vibration. It's moving me without me having to move. It is not necessarily driving muscle contractions, but it is creating movement in my body. And so long as we have a stable body, that can be good for us. I'm going to get to knee issues in a second because this is where that starts coming into play. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to increase the speed. Take all the way up. And now do you see how it's actually kind of less flapping in the wind? It's faster. The movement is less because it's moving more quickly. And my body is experiencing vibration. I'm just gonna show you one thing here. Stand up here. You see how this walks? It's moving. It basically rotates around itself. And now I'm going to tell you why that is. So for pretty much all the devices on the market, with the exception of the Galileo, they make themselves more affordable by driving this oscillating plate with a motor on one side that has a belt attached to it that also drives the other side up. So there's one side that's generating the force and the other side that's moving reciprocally for that. So there are plates out there, like Hypervibe is an example of plate that has this kind of motor, but what they try to do to make their plates feel more substantial is they actually bolt a steel plate on the bottom of their machine so it appears to be heavier than it is and it will walk less. As far as creating vibration and movement in your body, it's not an issue to have the driving arm only be on one side and the other side being reciprocal, because if we're just looking at vibration, we're still getting it. Now, you remember how I talked about pain management? Pain management is one reason why having a vibration plate is good. I think of it as like a white noise for your body. It can help distract your nervous system from a signal that it's been sending before. And since we know now that tissue damage and pain are not necessarily correlative, there are many cases in which using vibration can help move the nervous system out of pain that isn't related to tissue damage. If you have tissue damage, there are contraindications to using any type of vibrating device, especially one that is of lower quality because of destabilization issues. And we'll get to that too. Other benefits of vibration: circulation. You get circulation, even when you get a massage, by touching somewhere, by moving, by rubbing into your body, you increase blood flow through to the area through proprioception. So vibration works the same way in your system. Where you experience vibration, you're going to get enhanced proprioception, which is going to drive more awareness and blood flow to that area. In the cases where we don't have so much feeling. So, for example, when you're training core, and I'm going to just use a little gyrotonic language, if you're trying to get someone to narrow and pull back at their seed center and find that engaging back and up through the abdomen, for one, you may not want to touch your clients there. For two, they don't have as many nerves, especially on the inside of their body, as they do on the outside. Using vibration, when you know how to direct it, is going to give you a tool that will help you enhance awareness about muscular contraction. Because vibration, in essence, will travel the most directly through a straight line above a plate and also through an engaged muscle chain. So, this is how we begin to learn how to work with vibration. We also have lymphatic drainage that happens through movement. And lymphatic drainage can actually happen even at the lower frequencies. It can still get the tissues moving. So here are some real benefits to like any vibration plate on the market. One other benefit, because I'm just kind of listing them right now, is that you're going to get muscle recruitment through the distraction of the oscillating plate. This is different than what the Galileo does. So we're just going to do another little compare and contrast here. I'm going to take this machine all the way up to its fastest speed. And then I'm also going to turn on the Galileo. I'm going to match that speed for you. And then we'll talk about frequency. So we'll go that far. And I'll stand on it so it doesn't walk away quite yet. It might start walking after turning on the Galileo, but you can't control everything in life, right? Okay, start. So that's about as fast as it's going. You can see it's vibrating my muscles. And I think I'm going to pull you back for a second. We'll just let that thing walk. So you can see how far the vibration travels up my body. Oh. Yeah. So if I go down, if I bend my knees, there's less vibration. You can kind of see it, in my belly that's not jiggling here. And also you can hear in my voice is really stable. Now, if I stand up, maybe you can see the point where now my abdomen begins to jiggle. Now you've got a little bit of movement in there. And then here, if I stand all the way up, and you hear how my voice starts to wobble and my head goes. So this is vibration traveling directly through a vertical line. And if I squeeze my muscles in, it goes even more in my head because now I have engaged muscle chains. So that is evidence. If I were trying to get someone to pull back in their seed center, to narrow, to engage their core, to decompress their lower back, would be how I would say that in everybody else's training language. I might do something like this. And I might put my hand on someone's lower back, in the small of their back, and say, engage into my hand, send vibration into my hand. And they would learn how to do that by squeezing their muscles to direct the vibration to that place. So this is how that can be helpful. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a Galileo here. I'm going to start out also the lowest frequency. So this is the Galileo. It's lowest frequency. That's two. I'm going to turn this off just for a second without sounding annoying. And then I pre-gamed this. So basically, that little cheap ass plate that cost me $60 used, but I wish I could get it brown, gets to about the frequency. I was thinking it's like somewhere between like 12 and 13 hertz. So this is the Galileo moving at about that speed. Okay, now I'm gonna pull you guys back. Now see the Galileo doesn't flop. The Galileo also has a different motor. And I'll talk to you about that after I finish this piece. Back to this. Here I am at 13 hertz. Here I am bending and straightening. Can you also see how this quality of vibration is much smoother in my body, even though it's fast? So I've had a lot of clients try all these plates pretty much since I started amassing this fleet in preparation for the live, but also in preparation for the class series I'm teaching in July. And a consistent feedback that I got was on the Galileo, you feel it more internally. It's much more stabilizing and much more smooth. So let me turn this down again. And we'll take it up to its highest frequency. So can you see the difference? This is wobbling me more. I'm moving at about the same speed, but this is much more stable than that is. Yeah. And frequencies are important because circling back around to what I was talking about with muscle recruitment, there's another reason why the Galileo is a medical device and why it costs so much. The Galileo plate hits frequencies and also it has the power to generate muscle stimulus. So it's two things. It's the frequency and the power that can cause muscles to contract involuntarily. So when I was working with people who had spinal cord injuries who couldn't stand on their own, I could put them on a Galileo, they would be strapped up. But when the Galileo hit frequencies above 12 hertz, it generated involuntary muscle contractions that caused those muscles to contract on their own through the stretch reflex. So it's useful in preventing atrophy for people who can't fire their own muscles. It also has real possibilities of helping to repair damaged nerves because it's firing the afferent loop through the stretch reflex, is giving a signal to the nerve loop that will travel back into the system and hopefully maybe reach the brain. Either way, causing life-giving mechanisms on the way. And that only happens at higher frequencies. So when you're looking at a lower end plate, you want to look for something that gets frequencies ideally of at least 13 to 15 hertz, because at the highest frequencies, there is the possibility of these plates also generating involuntary muscle contraction. So what that means is that even if you have an able body and you stand on it, all of us trainers know that there's aspects of muscles and muscles themselves that we don't access or that our clients don't access. We bypass them. And really, a lot of what our training is, we look at the movement pattern, we isolate what's not working. We give people an exercise to engage that piece of their bodies. And then we have them repeat it a number of times to groove that pattern into their system, which is something we also might refer to as muscle memory. Well, this is one muscle contraction. And the Galileo goes up to 33 of those per second. So this, I would say, was going to about 13 hertz. So it's possible that at the highest frequency, we could also get some involuntary muscle contraction, which also would mean for you as an able-bodied person, enhanced muscle recruitment. Now, I don't know how much muscle recruitment any of these lower end plates have because they don't have any studies done on them. We can't say, we can only postulate. And this is where what I think is you should do what feels good for you. You should find a plate that your body likes. But now let's look at the Galileo for a little compare and contrasting here. I am at 13 hertz. It's about this fast. So this is the lower end of where it generates involuntary muscle contractions, which is different. If I go down here, it's just moving me. Can you see the difference? Can you see how I'm kind of flapping? Or is here? Something different. It's like the muscles begin to hug around my bones. When I'm teaching Galileo classes, I'm working with students at about 20 hertz to maybe 24 hertz. And can you see how there's less and less visible movement on the outside of me? It's because the vibration feels more condensed. It's a finer vibration. So there's less mobility being created and more muscle contraction being created. Now, less mobility being created doesn't mean I can't be exceedingly mobile on a plate. I can be. It just means that the vibration gets finer and finer. So the reason why the Galileo can do this is that its motor is totally different. It has two heavy steel cylinders that are driving each side of the plate and a perfectly balanced computer in the middle that generates all these frequencies and can even vary them. Again, it's about $7,000 to $8,000 for this for good reason. But for a few $100s, you can save the money. You're not going to get the same benefits. You can get these lower end models that still deliver very good benefits for the body. Some of which I would even advocate for people getting one for their home if they can't afford a Galileo. You don't always need the top of the line. Sometimes what you have is perfectly fine. So now we're going to get into this other issue around the knees. When we're talking about companies that are marketing a lower end vibration plate, most of them honestly are made in China, probably by the same manufacturer, and someone slaps their logo on it and they go ahead and they sell a vibration plate and they might borrow some research. What you want to watch for is marketing in there. So with the LifePros, for example, you'll run into something called 3D and 4D. And that, to summarize it briefly, is marketing bullshit. Our bodies move in the same dimension no matter what. The benefit that you receive from vibration is from the G forces stimulating your body and the mobility of the vertical movement. What they do to create a 3 or 4D model is they add to this motion also this. So the plate starts to do this. Not good for your knees, not good for anyone who isn't stable. Now, maybe it can feel relaxing, but it's not going to be delivering the same kind of stability and muscle building benefits. And that's where this machine that my client didn't like, that I don't like either, I'm going to show you what that does now, because you'll see clearly why I don't like it. And can you see it going side to side? I'm skating side to side. You see that rocking motion? Even if I speed it up, it just rocks me side to side faster. It's not flattering seeing my thighs flapping this way, by the way, on our Instagram Live, but I do it for you. So not great. And that's the side to side motion. So please don't waste your time with anything that says 3D or 4D or that delivers that side to side motion. It's not going to give you what you want, and it could be bad for you. So let me just check. Are there any questions so far? Why is it important to pose on the device and not simply stand on it? Oh, thank you. So you're refining. For the same reason that why is it important to exercise and not merely stand? Moving your body is how we generate facility and motion, is like the fluency of language. So imagine that this is adding an extra instrument to a symphony. It's basically making everything you do better. And let's go into 3D and 4D now, as opposed to me digressing again. I'm really good at digressing, in case you haven't noticed. Okay, so heading on over to LifePros here. So this is the older model that I have. And I'll set this on medium so you can see the movement. So it's just going side to side. It has a wider plate than the tiny one, but it's actually less intense for me. And that's because of something called amplitude, which is how high up and down the arms go on either side. The more amplitude, the more power, the more intense this is going to be for your body, and also the more benefits that are generated through muscle retraction or muscle contraction or recruitment, and also possible bone density benefits, which I will get into. Let me go to high. So there's the old LifePro I got. Perfectly fine. If you wind up ordering a LifePro, I see no problem with it. I think it's a good machine. Do I think it's going to generate involuntary muscle contractions? No. I don't think there's enough power in that. But I do think that there's benefits for vibration, right? So let's go on to the other one, the 4D model, and just take a look at that. And this, like I said, it belongs to a client. She just dropped it off yesterday, so I haven't had the chance to play with it much. So push start, and then basically increasing the frequency. And they all have remotes, I just don't bother to use them. So here, this does feel like there's more stimulation going out to my body. But if I go wide, I get that side to side sense. But also, what can happen with this plate is it actually moves, like it's a little springy. So it will move underneath my feet. So it has different levels. It has green, which is low, yellow, which is medium, and red. So I'm not quite all the way up. And that's how this works. So I actually don't see much reason to go for the highest end LifePro. It is actually a little smoother, but it has this roundness to it that I don't think is great. So if you're gonna get a LifePro, don't get one that's 3D or 4D, get a more basic one. Now we're gonna talk about this last piece about bone density. So there are real studies that show that vibration itself can increase bone density to the point of even reversing osteopenia or osteoporosis. This happens for a number of reasons. First of all, muscles contracting on bones will cause the bones to overlay more cellular material. So this is why strength training, heavy strength training, it's not just about 3-pound weights, it's about like lifting heavier and heavier weights to the point of failure is going to create the signals in your body for your bones and muscles to begin rebuilding themselves. So muscles acting on bones can help build bones. Therefore, if you are using a vibration plate, it's possible that the enhanced muscle recruitment could start to tug on your bones. So for that to really work, you would want to add weight to your vibration training. I'm talking deadlifts, overhead presses, squats, holding as much weight as you can handle. Not enough to just stand on it, but you could increase bone density more effectively that way because of the additional muscular action on the bones. Then we can also build bones by applying G forces to our body. So you may know that jumping and running can help to build stronger bones. And that's because of the impact that we have whenever we hit the ground. Remember how I had you do that at the beginning of the live. So again, just do this with me. Stand up lightly and just bounce your feet up and down. And then go ahead and give it a few jumps. And don't try to land softly. Landing softly is going to diminish your G force. Land it hard. This is the kind of movement that's going to cause your cells to rebuild themselves. Thirdly, there's a possibility that simply delivering vibration to the bones can create that kind of effect. There are some studies showing this. I haven't really done a lot of delving into them, but it seems like higher frequencies are necessary for that. We're talking about like in vertical vibration, it's like in the 60 hertz. And I think in the oscillating vibration, it's around 30 hertz. Don't quote me on that. Maybe I'll find a study and link it or something. So 3 different ways in which you can rebuild bone, but that has to do with the G forces. And the G forces are in relation to the amplitude, how high the plate is going, which is why I was pointing out the difference in height between this and that, right? And why I was saying with the LifePro, because it has a lower amplitude, I doubt that it's going to give you the same bone density building as perhaps my little cheaper model here. And then there's also the power. So there's the speed, you want to have a higher frequency for that, and the power itself. So even if something is going high, it's different if I'm just walking lightly or if I'm stomping my feet. So a lighter motor is going to have a different effect. Maybe you can see this if I just compare side by side. So here we are on the LifePro. Here's the amplitude. Ooh, I know what I can do. I'm going to take you down. It's going to show it to you right here. That's as high up and down as this is going. Now, let's turn on this machine. We'll speed it up a little bit. You see how much higher that one is than this one. One thing to remember, though, if you are looking to build bone density, you want the G forces. And if part of the G-force is the impact that the driving arm is giving to one side of the plate, you're going to want to remember to switch sides halfway through every exercise so both legs get the additional impact, because this is not the same as that. I hope that makes sense. There's an excellent article that breaks all this down. It's actually a pretty great website resource. And the resource is the manufacturers of this last plate that I am stoked to get behind. So we're going to go into that now. And if I ever find out what model that thing is, the little orange one, I'll let you know too. So this is the VT vibration plate over here. It costs less than the LifePro. This cost me $220. It arrived in about 4 days via FedEx. And it's a pivotal oscillation plate. There's no side-to-side motion. They do also make vertical vibration plates, but like I said, that's just not my jam. And here it is. So you hear it's not as loud. And let's look at the amplitude here. So it's going up and down a good amount. And it hits really nice frequencies. So this feels more stable to me when I stand on it. This is the lowest frequency. Let me point out something that's good for you to know as well. When you're working on a pivotal oscillation plate that's moving side to side, it's important that you yourself maintain balance, because it's just like a seesaw, right? If I stood only on one side of the teeter-totter, this is vertical vibration. My head's going up and down. It doesn't feel good. And usually when people get on a plate and they feel nauseous or it doesn't work for their bodies, it's because they haven't balanced their own bodies. So no matter what plate you have out there, and in my classes, this is always how I start my beginner classes. Start with your feet all the way in the middle of the plate. You're going to feel very little vibration. Notice your head isn't moving. From there, slowly pull your feet apart until you feel like you're in a good place with the experience of vibration in your body. So the amplitude, the height of the plate going side to side, is your volume button for intensity. And then we have the frequency, which is the speed, which fine-tunes the experience of vibration and can deliver different benefits depending on the frequency. So now I'm going to take this plate up. It goes up to 20. It feels all right. I may be getting some involuntary muscle contractions. The power is good. When I was playing with it last night, it became very clear that the driving arm was on the right side and the left is kind of floating. So I did start turning around halfway through so that both sides got density built. And now let's just go ahead and compare this speed to the speed of the Galileo, because the Galileo actually indicates the frequencies. Just move this over here. See, that one doesn't walk either. I feel like it's a pretty good quality motor. And it's not that heavy either. So we're going to 24 minutes and take this down. Let's see if I can just kind of pull you in, and maybe you can see the difference in how my body takes the vibration on the VT vibration plate versus the Galileo. So this is still a little more external in my body than the Galileo, which delivers a finer, more internal experience. So this is what you can expect. And the price difference is about, $7,300 cheaper for the VT vibration plate than it is for the Galileo. So you're letting go of a lot of medical benefits, and you're getting a lower end plate, but you're also still getting a ton of benefits. And if I had a studio and I had a Galileo and I wanted extra plates, or if I didn't want to invest yet in something like that, but I wanted something that I could comfortably advocate for, and with confidence to my clients, I would feel comfortable putting this in a training studio far more than putting a LifePro in a training studio. It's elegant, it's low profile, it's a strong vibration, it doesn't make a lot of noise, and you seem to be able to give variable times for up to 20 minutes. And look at how smooth my vibration is in my body. Going all the way up, sure, it wobbles my head, but if I bend my knees, it's still hitting my abdomen. If I want to do some kind of engagement like I showed you, pulling the core back to open small my back. The vibration goes easily through my abdomen to my back. It's not going to hurt your knees because it's not going side to side. And so I think pretty much concludes my inadvertent sales pitch for the VT vibration plate, because I think they're smart. I think they're giving a good product. It's reliable. It came quickly. It's affordable. I don't think it's cheaply made. Far less cheaply made than the LifePros, and probably better made than even that orange one that walks. Although the orange one has power. So get the VT vibration plate, and then if you love it, eventually decide to make the investment in a Galileo. Or not. There are other ways to build bone density and get muscle recruitment. It just depends on the quality you want of your experience. Okay, that sums us up. Are there any questions? Can I spell it? Yes. VT vibration. Do I have the power plate? No, I don't. I don't have a power plate because they charge thousands of dollars. They're exceedingly heavy. Oh, one more important thing. If you're going to get a plate, do not get one that has a bar attached. Many of them look like they're a whole treadmill station with an extra bar. Talk about wasted marketing. It's like buying a box of cereal that's this big with this amount of actual cereal in it. You can use a $15 dowel from Home Depot, or for about $300, you can order a set of stall bars. I have a link to order that in my accessories guide. But yeah, welcome to my messy bedroom, guys. This is where all of the rest of my studio mess is. So those are my stall bars. And usually what I'll do is I'll put my vibration plate, my Galileo, in front of the stall bars and use that for stability. If you wind up getting a plate that has a stand, you lose access. And so to really be able to move around, we're not just talking about standing on the plate. We're talking about sitting on it. We're talking about stretching on it. One point, I do a lot of body work and fascial unwinding with the Galileo. You can't do that with a lower end plate. It's not available. It doesn't hit the frequencies. And also with the driving arm on one side, it doesn't give the even bilateral stimulation that calms your nervous system down. So with the Galileo, it's very stimulating, but it's also very calming for your body. You can kind of zone out and get into a trance with it. You're never going to get that with a lower end plate. The even bilateral stimulation is coming from the fact that it has these two steel rods that are making the whole thing go. So let go of the idea of getting fascial unwinding or giving yourself body work. But still, what you want with a plate like this is that you could lie down and put your upper back on it. You'd probably want to have a soft foam roller or something. I do a lot of unwinding with my Galileo, and I'll be playing with the different techniques that you can use with the lower end plate before I offer the class series. So you're not just standing on it. You absolutely can put your hands on it. You can kneel on it. So can you see why you wouldn't want to order one that has a great big bar with it? Don't waste your money and don't waste your space. We pay far more for rent than we do for equipment. So maximize your space usage. I'm going to wait a second to see if there are any other questions. And then if not, I'm just going to wish you all a really good day. Thank you all for joining me. I am here on DMs and also on email if you have any questions. I look forward to answering them. This is a passion of mine. Happy Friday. Bye.